Very good morning, students. Today we are moving to the next topic, that is waterways. Since the ancient period, India was one of the seafaring countries, and seamen sailed far and near, thus carrying and spreading Indian commerce and culture. Waterways are the cheapest means of transportation, and they are most suitable for carrying heavy and bulky goods. Please underline, it is the cheap means of transportation, and we are using that one for the heavy and bulky goods. And it is a fuel efficient and environment friendly mode of transportation. What are the advantages of water transport? If you are getting question, you want to write, this is the cheapest mode of transportation. Then we are using this one for heavy and bulky goods transportation. Then it is fuel efficient and environment friendly mode of transportation. Then we are having in India has inland navigation waterways of 14,500 kilometers in length, and out of these only 5,685 are navigable by the mechanized vessel, and others are not. We can't use any ordinary this what we can say boats only we can use. The following waterways has been declared as the national waterways by the government. Like national highways, we are having national waterways also, and we can see the name and number. The Ganga river between Allahabad and Haldia. Haldia, it is in Calcutta. Then Allahabad in UP, and that is known as the national waterway number 1. That is 1,620 kilometers. The next one, Brahmaputra river between Sadia and Dubri in national highway number 2. Total kilometers 891 kilometers. Then the west coast canal in Kerala, that is Kottapuram to Kollam, and Udagamandal and Chambakara canal, that is total, it is known as waterways number 3. Total kilometer it is 0.5 kilometers. Then specified and stretch of the Godavari and Krishna river along with Kakinada Pondicherry stretch of canals, that is 1078 kilometers, national waterway of number 4. Then next one, specified stretches of river Brahmani along with Matai river, delta canals of Mahanadi and the Brahmani river, and east coast canal of 500, that is known as the waterway number 588 kilometers. Like that we are having national waterways of 5, that is means a name given by the or recognized by the central government. And there are some other inland waterways on which the sustainable transportation takes place. These are Mandavi, Zurai, Chumbarjwa, Sundarbans, Barak, and backwaters of Kerala. Like that, some other waterways are there, that is not coming under the national waterway, but we having. Apart from these, India's trade with the foreign countries is carried from the port located along the coast in both sides, western and eastern coastal we are having, and 95% of countries' trade volume is moved by sea. This used to ask us one more question or fill-ups like that. 95% of the country's trade volume, that is coming 68% in terms of value. The if you are considering value, it will come 68% of the value, economical value, money value, and if you are considering the commodity, that will come 98% of the trade. Then we want to see the major seaport, because it is helping us 60% of our money values, giving export and import because of that. And with a long coastal line of 7,516.6 kilometers, India is dotted with 12 major and 200 notified non-major or minor intermediate ports. Total we are having 212 ports. In that 12 major ports and 200 notified ports. These major ports handling 95% of India's foreign trade, already we said. And Kandla in Kutch was the first port developed soon after independence, that is in Gujarat, to ease the volume of trade on the Mumbai port, because Mumbai port already it was there and it was very congested. So Kandla port, it is in the Kutch, they we are developed and just after independence. In the wake of loss of the Karachi port to Pakistan after the partition, because Karachi port went become the part of the Pakistan, so Mumbai port become most crowded. So we made Kandla port first, and Kandla also known as the Deen Dayal port. Please underline that one, that used to ask us one more question, and it is a tidal port. And we want to study about two tidal port. One is in the east side and one is in the west side. West side it is Deen Dayal port in Kandla, and it caters to convenient handling of export and import of high productive granary and the industrial belt stretching across the state of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan and Gujarat. We can see the industrial products as well as the agricultural product where we are exporting and exporting through this port, that is the Deen Dayal port of Kandla, and it is a tidal port. Then Mumbai is the biggest port with a spacious natural as well as sheltered harbour. This is the natural port, not tidal port, and it is natural one, and it is the we are having enough space to keep the all the ships. Then Jawaharlal Nehru port was planned with a view of decongest the Mumbai port and serve as the hub for this region. In Mumbai itself, there is one more port is there. That port is helping the Mumbai port to keep the all the ships. Then next one, it is the Mormugao, that is in Goa. Mormugao port is the premier iron ore exporting port of the country. You have studied that one already in the minerals chapter. Mormugao port we are using to export the iron from Ratnagiri and Goa, from where we are from the mines of the Ratnagiri and Goa mines, that iron is exporting through the Mormugao port. And this port accounts for about 50% of the India's iron export. The Mormugao port we are using for 50% of iron export itself. New Mangalore port, located in Karnataka, caters to export of iron ore concentrated from Kudremukh mines. That also Kudremukh mines we studied, and that time we have seen that one, that we are using the Mangalore port to export. Then Kochi is the extreme southwest western port, located in the entrance of the lagoon with a natural harbour. And we said about the most important west coast ports. First one, it is coming the Kandla, that is in Gujarat. Then Mumbai port as well as Jawaharlal Nehru port in Mumbai. Then next one is it is coming Mormugao port. The next one it is Mangalore port. Next one it is Kochi port. That is the western side port. And moving along with the east coast, you would see the extreme south port, it is Tuticorin, that is in Tamil Nadu, and this port has a natural harbour and a rich hinterland. Thus it has the flourishing trade handling of a large variety of cargoes like cargoes to even our neighboring countries like Sri Lanka, Maldives, etc. Because it is near and it is very near to Sri Lanka. That's why we are using this port, Tuticorin port to export or keeping the relation with Sri Lanka and Maldives. And the coastal regions of India and other coastal regions also, Chennai is one of the oldest artificial port of the country. Please underline artificial port of the country. One of the oldest artificial port, that is Chennai. It is ranked next to Mumbai in terms of volume of trade. First one it is Mumbai, maximum trade. Then second place it goes to Chennai port. Visakhapatnam is the deepest landlocked and well protected port. Which one is the deep landlocked and well protected port? That is Visakhapatnam. That is in Andhra Pradesh. This port was originally conceived as an outlet for the iron ore export. Only for iron ore export purpose we started that one. Then Paradeep port located in Odisha, that we discussed in the time of minerals chapter, and specialized in the export of iron ore, which is coming from the Chota Nagpur area. And Kolkata is an inland riverine port. Please underline which one is the riverine port, that is the Kolkata port. And this port serves as very large and rich hinterland of Ganga Brahmaputra basin, because we can use even ship for ship travel also. Ganga river, that much big river it is, that's why. And being a tidal post, it is a tidal port also. Which one? Calcutta port. It requires constant dragging of Hooghly Haldia port, Hooghly river, we are making the dragging, and we are removing the soil because it is a tidal port. Then Haldia port was developed, that is after independence only we developed that one. That is because of the this inconvenience of this Calcutta port. And in order to receive strong pressure on the Calcutta, like Mumbai also we are having two ports like that, Mumbai port as well as Jawaharlal Nehru port, like that. In here Calcutta also we are having two ports, because the trade was more on in olden days, that's why. Then next one, it comes the airways. Air travel today is the fastest mode of transportation and very comfortable and prestigious mode of transportation. Means the air transport, we are feeling that fastest, that okay, comfortable and time saving, like that things are there. It can cover very difficult terrain. Important thing it is coming, like high mountains, and then dreary desert, then dense forest, and also long oceanic stretches with a great ease. All the physical features, if it is the difficult physical features in that area, we are using these airways. Think of the northeastern part of the country marked with the presence of big rivers, dissected relief, and dense forest, and the frequent floods and international boundaries, etc. In the absence of air transport, air travel has made has made access easier. If you want to go to the northeast states, we are using the air travel, means airways, that is easy because of the this hilly one side it is Himalayan mountain and the Brahmaputra river, then the branches of the Brahmaputra and other like that. So it is difficult to construct the railway line or road transport, so we can use the airways. Then air transport was nationalized in 1953. Please underline, very important. Air transport was nationalized in 1853, means taken under the control of central government. Air India provides domestic and international air services. We are having both. That is the authority of the air transport. We are calling it Air India, and they are having the work means both in international as well as domestic services also. Then next important point, another important point, that is Pahwan's Helicopter Limited provides helicopter service to the Oil and Natural Gas Corporation in its offshore operations. which helicopter it is giving the help for the oil and natural gas corporation, that is Pahwans. And to inaccessible areas and difficult terrain like northeastern states and the interior parts of the Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, we are using Pahwans. That for the oil and natural gas corporation, we are taking the service for that, and we are using the difficult terrain like forest area and thick forest, and the Jammu Kashmir like that, snow forest like that area, we are using this one because it is not easy to construct the railway line or road, that's why. So even in the time of flood or like that time also, we are using the help of helicopters. Air travel is not within the reach of the common people, because it is not only the northeastern states, the special provisions are made to extend the service to the common people. Now also it is not to it is not coming to the what we can say common people